Dormayo, home of a great night's sleep.
Because I wanted to raise awareness for all the causes that I was involved with. And someone said, you should go on Twitter. And I had no idea what Twitter was. Anyone who's interested will be in for a treat, because it is a sensational charity.
Absolutely.
And moon bears are the most fabulous creatures on the planet.
Well, of course, Harriet is still in her soundproof room. Yes. Of course, she's not really in Dubai. She's in a little space that she has to be very quiet. We've put her in there. So she doesn't know we've told you this.
The bitterness they have, that they have to construct this extraordinary story. And of course, I'm in hot, steaming, beautiful Dubai.
Yeah, that's what she says.
Darling. Hot and steaming, you might be, Harriet. Hot and steaming. But anyway, I would like
not for many years, though.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about Beanie's bottom.
Ooh.
What?
Yes. So today, my dogs, they were lying on the bed, of course. I had the tiny little corner, and I had of course, I've got ladies staying as well, so I had 4 dogs on the bed. And Beanie, my little chihuahua, not my euphemism, of course, was very close. Her little backside was very close to Bear, my lovely golden Springador, to his nose. And she farted really quite loudly and gave herself such a turn. Bear sort of jumped in the air, and Beanie just looked at her bottom, which was very interesting. So, and then she literally got up, was terribly embarrassed and walked out the room.
Hysterical. I think we've all been there.
Yes, we have. Oh, I must tell you, actually. What a glamorous life you live, Debbie.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Well, that's it. You see, that's all I do.
Strange goings on with puppies and animals. Did you read about in I think it was somewhere like Peru or somewhere, that this boy bought a puppy, what he thought was a puppy, and as it grew up, it looked, it had a sort of foxy face, a bit like my dog Honey, actually. Suddenly, this little puppy started eating chickens and biting other dogs, and it was actually a fox.
Oh, well, foxes can be tame. I don't understand why it would suddenly be aggressive.
Yes, they can be tame.
It was instinctive. Yeah, apparently. So yes,
peckish,
very peckish.
Yes, but that's a very good segue, isn't it? Wildlife. Foxes.
Very good segue.
Yes, isn't it, Sherry?
Segue.
We have the most amazing guest. I mean, we've all known him for 150 years, and he has had a brilliant career. Latterly, of course, the wonderful Downton Abbey, but he has done so many things, it's impossible to actually list them. But one of the main things now is with Pen Farthing and all of the wonderful work he does with animals. Please welcome Peter Egan.
There you are.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hi everyone. Hi.
How are you, Peter?
I'm all right, not too bad. I'm okay, thank you. Surviving. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to start by remembering Myra, because I did Within These Walls with Myra.
Did you really? Wonderful.
I have a photograph of her and me and 2 other girls, and we were drug addicts, and we smashed up the whole of the prison together. How we did it, but I remember us all being given things to smash things up with. Like, I think Myra had a hammer, I had a baseball bat. Where we'd get them from in prison, who knows? And we actually were allowed to smash this setup. And we smashed the whole setup, and we were just joyous. It was wonderful.
Wonderful. I seem to remember her telling me she may have picked up a typewriter or something and thrown it across.
She did. I've got the picture of her with the typewriter in her hand.
Have you really? And she said, she said she couldn't remember how she did it because it was quite heavy, but she obviously was acting very powerfully. And she picked it up and chucked it. Yeah.
Oh, we had a brilliant time. We had the best time ever. Not with the director, I have to say, who was very, very difficult, but we didn't care because we just smashed more walls and more walls. It was brilliant, a brilliant day. It was had by all.
Again?
Yeah, very.
But Peter, you've had the most incredible career. And I mean, when I first met you in 1980, I can't believe it's so long ago, 41 years ago. You were directing.
I don't think I was born then. I wasn't born.
Oh, Harriet has to, obviously she wasn't born then. But back in 1980, because that's when you were directing John Challis and Pauline and John Alderton in Rattle of a Simple Man.
Absolutely, yeah. And strangely enough, talking of Myra, my wonderful late wife, it was Myra who suggested, we were on holiday in Spain together, John, Pauline, and we had lots of holidays together in the 70s with all the kids, and we were in Spain sitting by a pool. And John said, and I just directed a play at the Lyric Hammersmith, the first play into the studio there. And John said, are you thinking about being a director or carrying on as an actor? And I said, well, I'd like to do both, really, but, you know, I haven't chosen. He said, well, do you fancy directing us in a play? I said, sure, I'd love to do that. And Myra said, you should do Rattle of a Simple Man. And that's how it came about. And so John rang his agent and said, we want to do Rattle of a Simple Man. We were on holiday for 2 weeks. And by the time we got back, we had a date booked for the rehearsal part and a theatre for it to go into, because John and Pauline, of course, were huge stars, and everything fell into place. But it all happened from a great suggestion by Myra.
How funny.
She was absolutely wonderful, Peter. Very, very honoured to be married to such a wonderful woman. Was it Myra, Peter, that started you off on your quest with animals? Was it her love for animals?
I mean, I sort of loved animals, but I hadn't locked into it. And 35, I remember vividly, it was 35 years ago, it was my 40th birthday. And Myra said, you're not paying attention to Rebecca's Christmas list. And so I said, what do you mean? She said, well, for the last 5 years, she's had dog collar, dog food, dog bed, dog blanket. And, you know, so I said, oh, you mean she wants a dog, does she? Very, very bright and quick I am. And but we had sort of discussed it a bit before then, but I never felt that I was very, very busy in my 20s and 30s, and I felt if I had a dog, I would want to have time for it. And by the time I was 40, I kind of figured, you know, I'd sort of established myself enough to take on a dog and have more time. And also Myra, who was remarkable, she always chose to be the homebody and look after all of that part of our lives beautifully. Yeah. Yes, so we got our first dog, which was a black Labrador called Crackers.
Oh.
She was the most beautiful dog. And then about a month later, we lived in Chiswick at the time, and if you know the Chiswick High Road, there's the Ballyram there on the Chiswick High Road.
Yeah. Yes,
yeah.
Of course.
And Myra was out shopping, and a blonde Labrador had collapsed just outside the Ballyram door.
Oh.
And Myra brought him home. And a very, very old Labrador that we called Custard.
Oh.
So we had Crackers and Custard.
And of course, now you're very active as an animal activist, aren't you? You're doing a lot of campaigning and.
Yeah. I would say it's the most important element of my life and has been for the last 20 years, really.
Yeah. Yes.
It was through animal activism and animal rights that I also was introduced to another wonderful lifestyle that is my lifestyle now and has been for the last 10 years, and that's being a vegan. I suddenly became aware that I loved dogs, but I wasn't considering all the other animals on the planet. And the moment I looked into that, I realized that I was cognitively dissonant. And so I decided to address that. And I watched a film called Earthlings about 11 years ago. It's about intensive animal agriculture. And I decided it was so brutal and cruel, I would never eat meat again. And I haven't since that time. But yes, it was Myra's encouragement that set me on this journey. And then it just took both of us over, really. Certainly took me over. And now I am either a patron or an ambassador for over 20 different charities.
Wow, wonderful.
I'm a vice president of the RSPCA, and I'm an ambassador for my favorite charity on the planet, which is Animals Asia.
Yes.
Run by
Yes.
an inspiring woman, Jill Robinson, and founded by her, and it rescues bears from biofarms in China and Vietnam. And that's just a sensational, for me, that charity defines the very meaning of animal rights. Yes, it was all wonderfully kicked off by Myra, and yeah, it has become the most important other element in my life for many, many years.
Peter, how do you manage to work? I mean, you know, when you've had these wonderful series that have come in, like Unforgotten, which you were so brilliant in, I loved that. I mean, you know, how does your work manage to get, you know, you're off flying here and flying there. How do you manage to combine everything?
Well, Unforgotten was the perfect job for me, because I would be in 6 episodes, but I'd do all of my work in 10 days.
Oh, brilliant.
Perfect.
So
That's good.
Those are the only jobs I ever want to do again, if ever I'm employed again. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that's how that was dealt with. And Unforgotten was, I mean, Nicola Walker is the best actress of her generation, I think. And it was such a great pleasure to be acting with her. She's a sensational actress, I think.
You were brilliant in it. Really brilliant.
Thank you very much. It's well, this is money well spent, isn't it?
Yeah.
What
is coming up for you next? What's ahead?
I have no idea at the moment. I get offered a lot of stuff, and I'm not saying this smarty pants to me. A lot of stuff I really don't want to do, and I made a decision. I was at the National Theatre in 2016, and I made a decision then that I wouldn't do any more theatre because it takes up so much time. I mean, any play you do, even if it's just one, I was doing 2 plays, 2 Chekhov plays.
Yeah.
Any play you do, it takes 6 months of your life, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was sort of Leonard Rossiter, and I thought, I don't want to be found either in my dressing room or in the car park under the National, having collapsed and died. So,
No, dear. No, that's not.
So
I think it's an equity ruling. You're not allowed to do that, darling. Sorry.
I'm going to try not to do that. And then, of course, when Myra became very ill in 2019, and I just thought life is far too important for me to be concentrating on something that I mean, I've been acting for 55 years. It's ridiculous, isn't it? And I thought, you know, I'm just going to park that and get on and just really concentrate on life. I have no idea at all what I'm going to do next. What I do know is that I'm going to be campaigning 24 hours a day, really, for all the things that I care about. I'm going to China next year and Vietnam and Indonesia for various animal causes. And all of those, when I do those, I feel Myra is very much by my side. So it's very important.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Are you still in touch with Penn Farthing and all of that that's still going on?
Yeah, it's amazing. Penn is brilliant, man.
I know.
I'll be speaking to him today, strangely enough. We have
right, because it's still carrying on, isn't it? It's still sort of, people aren't letting it go.
No, he's been sort of vilified a bit, being
for
being a military and for being the most heroic evacuation in terms of of people and animals from Afghanistan, from Kabul. Yes, so I'm very, very, very involved with that. Very involved with that as a friend. He's a great friend. I'm also involved with that as an ambassador and a patron. In fact, I went to visit him. He liked it very much. I was one of the few actors that had the nerve to go to Kabul. I went there in 2013. Myra said to me, "You're out of your mind. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And but I admired so much what he was doing. So I went to Kabul, and on the day I arrived, a mile away from where we were in the sanctuary, a suicide bomber blew himself up and killed about 50 people.
Oh my God.
And I thought, maybe Myra was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but how brave that you did that.
So Peter, what animals have you got now at home?
I got 5. I have 5 5 dogs.
5 what?
Yeah, I've had 7. There's the most we've had. But I've got Myra's favorite dog, an old staffy called Megan. She's 15. She's a rescue from. She's strangely enough, she's deaf, but as I mentioned her name just now, she just lifted her head from the bed.
They know, don't they?
They kind of pick it up. They have wonderful perceptions, don't they? And then the dog who rules my life is a Staffy Cross called Pippa, who's blonde and very beautiful, and another Staffy Cross called Boo. And then I have 2 dogs from Bosnia. One is Titus that Myra rescued 9 years ago, who is a wonderful, strange mix of a German Shepherd and maybe a Corgi, because he's got a big body and no legs.
How did that happen? Yeah.
Wow.
How do you think?
He's a great cross. And also this summer, after Myra died, a German Shepherd crossed with a Husky that I'd seen when I was in Bosnia 4 years ago, and he was in a shelter, and a magnificent looking dog, and I thought this dog is going to be rehomed easily, and he never was. He'd been in the shelter for 11 years.
11 years?
11 years.
Gosh.
I'll tell you, I'll turn around here. You might be able to see him.
Yes, please.
Oh, yes, please.
Hello, yeah, hello, hi. That's,
He's gorgeous.
Oh,
that's
how lovely.
That's there he is again. Hi, Seb. Seb. Hello.
Oh.
Hi.
He's Sebastian, and come here, baby. And so I'm just he's letting me give him a stroke. And he came up, and I just thought, God, this poor dog, 11 years, never had a home, and been in a shelter for 11 years. And I wanted to give him a bit of Myra, really, I suppose. So that's why I just bring him home, and he's been with me now for 4 months, and he's an old hand, really. And my other 4 dogs, 2 of them, Pippa and Boo, are kind of hooligans, really. That's Seb, we're talking about him. And so, they're all very territorial, and but he just kind of walks through it all, because he's been used to living in a place with about 150 dogs, So he's settled in. So that's my pack at the moment, and I'm very honoured to be accepted by them all as a member, and they also ground me and direct my life profoundly. I also have a bear in China, Peter Bear.
Is he one of the moon bears, Peter?
He's one of the moon bears, yes.
Yes, I think, the thing is that, it's incredible, because I don't know if the girls know about the moon bears, but they take their bile out. I mean, it's the most awful thing, isn't it, Peter?
It's horrible. They're kept in cages.
Horrific.
But they can live for 30 years, and they are kept what they call crush cages. They can't really move around much. They go insane. And
horrific. But you rescued one. That's so wonderful.
That's
Jill Robinson rescued. He's in the sanctuary in China. I've been over to see him a couple of times. Most people
What's he like?
He's wonderful. He's now very tall. When he stands on his hind legs, he's 6'6", quite slim, and he has a wonderful sense of humor. He's now he's been there for 9 years, so he's 12. He's a third way through his life. In fact, when he came to the sanctuary, he was in a cage that was so small, he was in the fetal position. He'd never...
He never... And you gave him that opportunity to stand, and that is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
You're doing amazing stuff, Peter. You really are.
Sort of gets memories like that kind of hit you in the heart, don't they? So,
completely.
But all you've done to change their lives, to give them life, 11 years in a rescue centre, to get a bear that's been in a fetal position to stand, is because of you. And that is the most moving thing I think I've heard on our show.
Yeah, it's breathtaking. And when they described him standing for the first time, I did what I'm doing now.
It's okay.
I just cracked. I just completely
beautiful. Cracked. It's beautiful. They are so gorgeous, those moon bears.
Yeah. In fact, if anyone wants to have an endorphin rush, go to Animals Asia on YouTube and look up moon bears having fun, and you'll see.
We will. Thank you.
We will.
Peter, is there a lot of work to be done still with the moon bears, though?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's moving quite fast in Vietnam, and Animals Asia have an agreement that they will end it by 2022, hopefully.
Good.
And when that was set a precedent in the southeast, China is very much more difficult to manage because of the very authoritarian regime, but things are moving quite well there.
If anybody wants to get involved with the Moon Bears, where should they go to?
They can. Their tweet handle is at Animals Asia, and
Right.
or just Google Animals Asia Foundation, and it will come up. Or
Okay, lovely.
Jill Robinson, who is the founder, and just it's easy access, through the internet.
Great.
And anyone who's interested will be in for a treat, because it is a sensational charity.
Absolutely.
And moon bears are the most fabulous creatures on the planet.
Yes, they are beautiful.
They are beautiful, yeah. So, I mean, and of course, Animals Asia, particularly this year, aiming to close down biofarming in Vietnam next year, need all the support they can get. So it would be great for any of you.
We will support that as much as we can. Actually, I suddenly remembered that I was the person that got you onto Twitter. Do you remember that? Which is why you're Peter Egan 6, because we did it 6 times and we couldn't get you on Twitter.
Really?
Do you remember?
You know,
So funny.
I had. Thank you so much for doing that, Debbie. It's wonderful. I've now remembered. I'd forgotten how it all came about. But I do remember going on Twitter for the first time because I wanted to raise awareness for all the causes that I was involved with. And someone said, you should go on Twitter. And I had no idea what Twitter was.
Who did?
Who did?
Our worlds have so changed with social media.
Completely.
And obviously, you asked the most technical person you knew, which was me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, yeah.
Not.
Well, it's great. It's great, and I find it to be the most successful platform. Who's that coming in there, Debbie?
you heard that this was a letter coming. So that was the Chihuahua barking. That's not a euphemism, by the way. That was being the Chihuahua. In fact, Peter, you voted her Miss Hampstead.
Did I? Good.
Yes, when she was in a beauty competition, a doggy beauty competition, and Beanie won. I have a picture of you and Beanie.
How wonderful.
She seduced you. You adored her. You didn't stop snogging her. She still thinks about you to this day. And she was on the front page of the Ham and Hyde. You and Ricky Gervais, that you voted her the most beautiful dog in Hampstead.
Well, I have to say, I've never forgotten that.
and she actually put a quote on and said that I owe it all to Peter Egan.
How wonderful! How wonderful! That's great. Well, I mean, I have to say, I find Twitter the most extraordinary. I mean, it has good and bad, but it's a great platform, and it works very, very well for the causes that I champion. So it's God, it's pretty obsessive as well, isn't it? It takes up a lot of time.
Yes, Peter, if you need ever to raise awareness for anything, please call me or text me and say, Debbie, I want to come on the show. We need to get awareness for this. We've had 18 million hits in the last 18 months, so we have quite a good following.
That's fantastic. Brilliant. Well done.
Looking at the show, so whatever we can do to help, we're going to put all of
We
these
will.
on our website,
Absolutely.
on the show. So hopefully we'll be able to raise some awareness to help you.
That's
Absolutely.
sensational.
And see you very soon in the flesh
Lovely.
for a real filming experience together.
You and I.
Just you and me, darling. Just you and me.
When are we going to do this then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wonderful. Well, that's great.
Yeah,
I look forward to that.
Thank you.
It's wonderful talking to you all. This is
Thank you so much.
fabulous.
And you. Thank you. And congratulations on all the wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
It's really lovely and enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you. And
See you very soon, darling.
See you soon.
Yes, lovely.
There's no escape now.
No escape at all. I'd be delighted. I'd be delighted to come back anytime. Really, it's a great pleasure talking to you all.
Thank you.
And what is amazing is that the dogs all calm down very, very quickly. And that's a record. So it has something to do with all of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Amazing.
What a delight, hey?
What extraordinary work he's done.
Man.
Extraordinary work that he's done.
Fabulous actor, wonderful activist.
The Moon Bears is just one of those, oh God, it just, somebody, I mean, hopefully things are being done now.
Yes.
Well, they are. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing. Leslie Nichols also involved with them as well. You know, so it's an incredible charity. So all of you have a look at the. We'll put the blurb on the website.
Have a look.
Animals Asia, please help as much as you can because it really deserves. And that's it. That's it. It's the end.
Wow.
Okay.
Have a fabulous
good weekend, girls.
Thank you, darling. And you. And
see you next week.
See you soon.
I might have landed back from Dubai then.
Oh yes, of course.
Like you did.
You'll be so relieved. Not.
I know.
See you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Dormail, home of a great night's sleep.